All right, Hazel. Hazel, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Florida,
What part?
in Fort Lauderdale.
Tell me about your family.
I mainly grew up with my dad. He had full custody of me and my brother, but he was rarely ever there. I mean, he would bring home a new girl every single night and not even pay attention to the fact that we were there. And there were times where,
Your dad was out every night?
yeah, there were times where he'd be gone for like a couple weeks, sometimes months. He would just come home from work and be like, hey, I'm spending the night at so-and-so's house, whoever his new girlfriend is during that time. And yeah, it would just be me and my brother. And there'd be times where I wouldn't even be able to make it to school because I'd be so tired from just taking care of everything, making sure that my brother had food, making sure that he would go to bed at a certain time, make sure that he did his homework, make sure he ate, and I really wasn't taking care of myself. I started drinking at a very young age, at the age of 12. My dad introduced me to cocaine at the age of 12, too. I was basically my dad's girlfriend when he didn't have a girlfriend.
But you weren't having an intimate relationship with him.
Not as far as like physically, but emotionally. And like, for example, if he didn't have a girl on Friday night to take out, he would take me out to the bar at the age of 13, 14. And guys his age, like in their 30s, would ask him if they could dance with me, and he'd be like, yeah, I dance with them. And then he'd go off and fuck some girl in the bathroom, and I'd be hanging out with this 37-year-old guy. And I thought it was okay to hang out with guys that were a lot older than me, because my dad made it seem like it was okay. So from a very young age, I always would have sex with older men, and made it to where I knew that I had like a certain thing about me to where they would always come up to me and like flirt with me. So I was like, well, I can get stuff out of this, I can get money out of this. I can get clothes. I can get things that, nobody else at my age would have. So I took advantage of that. But it did come with a lot of trauma. It came with, things that I wasn't prepared for. Nobody told me, or, because normally when you have two parents that are stable and I guess you could say normal, like they tell you things to watch out for, like predators and drugs and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't have that, I didn't have anybody to warn me. So it was just like I had to learn for myself and go through those experiences.
Your dad was out doing this every night, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your dad would be an interesting interview.
Yeah. He's an alcoholic, and he does cocaine, but doesn't think he has a problem. But yeah, my dad, it was very hard growing up with my dad, actually. Like, if we weren't at the bar, or like me and him weren't drinking together, we'd get along then. Like, when we're drinking together out at the bar or wherever we're at. But if it's like we're at home and he's the only one that's drunk and I'm drunk but he doesn't know that I'm drunk, like, for some reason he would just pinpoint all his anger on me. Like, my brother could do the same things that I would do, and he would just get like a slap on the wrist. But my dad and I have gone into like straight fist fights. Like he's run me over with a golf cart. He's given me a concussion. There were times where I couldn't even go to school because like my whole half of my face was bruised up. And like there were times where we'd literally be living in the same house and we wouldn't talk to each other for months. Like we would just do our own thing and live under the same roof and not talk to each other. It was very hard growing up with him, but I mean, in a way, I kind of did have fun. It was kind of fun. It was really fun, actually.
Today's video is sponsored by Aura. It's a really important time to be talking about Aura because hackers have stolen the social security numbers of every American. Over 2.9 billion records were stolen from national public data, which offers personal information to employers, private investigators, staffing agencies, and others doing background checks. These stolen records include a person's full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and phone number, along with alternate names and birth date. And members of the hacker group have reportedly released this information for free online. I've had credit cards hacked, and I'm sure many of you have as well. If you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, this should be a huge wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. But I'm not too worried about it now because I use Aura. Aura alerts me if they find my phone number, email, or social security number on the dark web. They're going to let me know right away if anyone tries to use this information to access my credit or bank accounts. Plus, they give me up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. They also provide a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one app. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/soft white underbelly to try 2 weeks for free. And now back to the video.
But when I finished school on my 18th birthday, I moved out of my dad's house. And I didn't really care like who I moved in with. I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. So I moved in with my boyfriend at the time. And I was already, drinking. I was already popping pills, smoking weed. But my boyfriend at the time didn't know that about me. But when we moved in together, like, I didn't really think it through. I was just like, fuck it, I'm 18, I'm an adult, I'm leaving. And he found out that I was, getting high, drinking, all that. And he was like, if you don't go to rehab, I'm going to kick you out, blah, blah, which scared me because, then I'd be homeless. I didn't want to go back home to my dad. And I went to rehab, and then I found out that I could just leave. I didn't have to stay there, so I left. And basically fucked up everything. It got even worse. I ended up on the streets. And I would work. It was kind of like how it was when I was 13, 14, except this time I'm on the street. I'm not at a bar or at a club. I'm on the street, outside, setting my own prices or a pimp setting them for me, or I'm literally losing all the money that I make in one night because it's getting stolen from me. So.
How old are you now?
I'm 22.
22. No kids?
No kids. Thankfully.
Until you're stable, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the lowest point of your 22 years?
When I went missing for 3 weeks. Yeah.
How'd you go missing?
I had just AMA'd from a detox, and there was a CVS across the street. Went to CVS, stole like 3 wine coolers, and was just walking around CVS, drinking the wine coolers that I stole, and I was wasted. like within minutes. And I decided that I was gonna go dumpster diving behind CVS. And I hear this car pull up, and he was basically like, hey, are you okay, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just digging through this dumpster. I'm hungry. Because there was a bunch of like expired chocolate. And he's like, what's your other choice? And I was like, well, what do you have? And he was like, I have cabbie, fetty. And I was like, okay, that's enough for me. And I got in the car with him, which is pretty scandalous. And then next thing you know, we're at a hotel. There's a bunch of girls, a bunch of guys that, we're all just getting drunk, partying. And then I get handed a drink, and I don't remember anything from there.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. And then when I finally was able to get out of it, I had my what's it called? The person that gets you into treatment, like
Sponsor?
not a sponsor.
Wasn't a sponsor
yet. What's it called? Like the people that like you give them your insurance information and they call a bunch of places for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had her for like a long time as that person for me, and she was also a very, very close friend. Well, she's big into the treatment game, and I guess somebody in the treatment game had told her that like they had seen me at this hotel and I looked really fucked up, and she ended up coming with the cops, and that's how I got out of it. I had been there for 3 weeks, and I was rushed to the hospital as soon as they got there. She said that she didn't even recognize me. And at first, like, she was like, that's not her. And then she realized that it was, and I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of glad that I don't really know what happened. I mean, I can only imagine what happened, which is better than not remembering. But it's like, I know. I know. So.
What is your drug now?
Fetty and cabbie.
So crack cocaine and fetty.
Mm-hmm.
And you stay on Skid Row?
Mm-hmm.
How long you been there?
About 3 years.
You're on the street, or you have a room somewhere?
Yeah, I'm on the street.
In a tent?
Mm-hmm.
That's a rough life for a girl like you.
Yeah. But I've been doing it for so long that it's just like normal.
You make money with dates?
Mm-hmm.
With men? Do you have horror stories of that?
So many I can't even count on my fingers.
It's like every night is a horror story almost.
I mean, not really every night. I mean, there's nights where it goes so smooth, and it's just like, why can't every night be like this? But it's always a risk, Like, you never know when you're going to get in the car and they just decide that they're just going to drive off with you, There's been times where that's happened before, and it's just it's great. Like, I think back and it's just like, oh my gosh, like, how in the hell am I still here? you know? It's just mind-blowing to me.
And on Skid Row, what do you charge for a date on Skid Row?
Well, usually, so I don't fuck. I just give head. And I usually charge between $60 and $80.
That's a lot for Skid Row.
Yeah. But that's my price, and if they're not going to pay it, they're not going to pay it.
You're a beautiful girl, so maybe you can get that.
That's what I tell them.
Where do you think you'll be in 5 years?
Nobody's asked me that in like such a long time. I like haven't even thought about that, like my future and like what I want to do. I mean, when I was still in high school, I knew that I wanted to get my bachelor's in nursing. So maybe in college, or like almost finishing college.
You're still young.
And maybe working a stable job and having my own place, which sounds crazy because I've never had my own place.
Have you ever had a job?
Yeah. I've worked at restaurants mainly and clothing stores, but it never lasts long. I always end up fucking it up by just not showing up because I want to get high.
The drugs have been a thing since 12?
Yeah.
If you hadn't lost your mom so early, do you think your life would look different now?
No. No, my mom's, she was a fucked up mom. We would go there from time to time, because there's a reason why. You know, my dad won custody and not her. Like, it's not normal for the father to win custody, full custody, and not the mom. My mom did a lot of fucked up things, like, and it's crazy because like my brother was so young that like he doesn't remember, but I remember, and that to me is just like, in a way I'm glad, because I mean, look at me, I'm fucked up. He moved to Canada to join the Canadian Air Force, and I'm so proud of him. You know, he's doing great, amazing things with his life. And that's all I wanted for him. But my mom was just a horrible person. Like, she would do things that like you can't even imagine a mom would do.
Can you give me an example of?
Yeah.
Tell me a story of your mom.
Like, she'd always have random men watching us. And in the court, my dad told me basically, because I used to ask all the time, like, what happened? Like, what, you know, like, what happened? And when I got to a certain age, I was snooping through stuff in the garage, and I found the divorce papers and all, like, the court files. And I read a part where they had talked to me, and I had said that, like, it was okay to have, like, sex for money, or to, like, show my boobs for money. And I was only 6 years old. And my mom also used to make me and my brother take baths together when I was, like, way too old for that. You know, like, you do that when there's two babies that are, like, maybe 2-3 months apart. Not when you're 3 years apart and I'm 7 years old, you know? So, and like she basically used to make us do things when we were in the bath, and all of it's like pretty vague. I remember like going to therapy when I was young, and I remember there were times where like my dad would have to come pick me and my brother up at like 3 in the morning at my mom's house because of something that happened. Like we were always at the hospital a lot. My mom would get abortions all the time, so like me and my brother were always at the abortion clinic with her because she didn't have anybody to watch us.
You had a very interesting and different childhood.
Yeah.
You been in love before?
I don't know. I mean, I have said that I've loved my boyfriends, but I don't know if like that's really like what love is or what love's, you know what I mean, supposed to be, because I've never really seen like, you know,
A good example of that.
right, other than in movies, but like movies are not real.
What's your biggest regret?
I don't have one, because even though there's a lot of fucked up shit that's happened in my life, I believe that every experience, good or bad, I've grown from it and I've learned something from it, and I can help other people from it when I decide to stop fucking up.
Do you see that in your future?
Yeah. When I'm ready.
Just don't die in the meantime.
True.
You're living a very dangerous life.
Yeah.
Do you have friends?
Mhm.
Yeah. Associates on the street?
Mhm.
Or real friends?
I mean, real friends I did have at one point, but I haven't talked to them in a long time, so.
What is your brother doing now?
I don't know. I know that he's in Canada, and I know that he's in boot camp.
Is your dad still around?
Yeah, my dad's in Florida. But I don't talk to him. I don't really talk to any of my family, like, at all.
What does your typical day on Skid Row look like? Do you sleep?
Not really. Unless I'm like so exhausted that like I sit down and I just end up passing out.
So what do you do all night?
It depends. Every night's different. I mean, sometimes.
Find people to party with and.
Right. Like sometimes there's nights where I'll be working and I'll get picked up, and the guy ends up wanting to like party all night and give me a large sum of money. And so I'll just be partying all night with this guy in his car or at his pad or.
Is that a good night?
Yeah. And then there's nights where I'll get picked up and then do my thing for 10 minutes and then get dropped back off, and then I'll wait a few hours because it's super slow, so I'll just hang out, walk around, wait until, you know, somebody comes with their window down asking if they can fuck me or if I can suck their dick or whatever they want, you know, and then I give them my price, and then they either want to pay that or they don't. And then I'll be like, if they don't want to pay it, then keep moving.
Does that lifestyle affect you in any way, emotionally?
As long as I'm high, no.
Motivation to stay high.
What motivates me to stay high?
I'm saying, no, it's a
Yeah, that's what motivates me to stay high.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's mainly why I stay high and don't want to get sober.
Do you feel like you're missing out on life?
As of right now, no. Because I still have my whole life. I'm still pretty young.
You haven't OD'd?
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't scare you off?
Mm-mm.
Are you reckless?
For the most part, I would say.
Are you always using protection, or sometimes you don't?
Oh, always.
Always?
Always. In that aspect, yes. Or in that aspect, no, I'm not reckless. I'm still, like, responsible in that kind of way. Because, one, I don't want any type of diseases. And two, I definitely don't want to get pregnant. Because I'm anti-abortion. And with being anti-abortion, then I would have to have the baby, and having a baby in Skid Row is just not you know, like, I, no offense to the people that have done that or are doing that, like, but me, I couldn't. That's just not fair at all. That would not be fair at all.
Would that make you think about getting clean? Would that be the motivation to get you clean?
Maybe. Probably.
I'm not suggesting that. Hazel, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
To always trust your gut. Always trust your gut. It is never wrong. Because all the times that I didn't trust my gut, that's when bad shit happened. And I could feel it. But I didn't listen.
All right. Hazel, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I wish you a lot of luck out there. Be careful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Even though Soft White Underbelly consists of a lot of videos, it's really still a photography project to me. And if you appreciate the photography, sometimes it's difficult to enjoy it when it's scrolling down the screen, which is the only option I had in this horizontal format on YouTube. So last year we came out with the first Soft White Underbelly book, which is a collection of the best portraits from the thousands of interviews I've done. Each portrait in this book is accompanied by an interesting quote from the person's interview.
Oh my God.
There's more.
Wow. These aren't as bad as I thought. I look like a witch.
I will not be reprinting this book when it sells out. So once it's gone for good. You can order yours at softwhiteunderbelly.org. $125, $150 for a signed copy. And thank you for watching.